The Syrian culture minister hailed the recapture now of Palmyra as a victory for humanity and promised to rebuild what's been left. I spoke to the head of Syria's Directorate General for Antiquities and Museums just last hour. Despite the damage inflicted by ISIL on Palmyra's cultural heritage, as you'll hear, he's optimistic today about its eventual restoration.
Now we are preparing to go in the post-liberation, how we can do about rehabilitation of the city of Palmyra. The situation, the landscape in Palmyra is good. It's not destroyed. It is a very great hope in our heart to continue our work, to control the cultural heritage in Palmyra. I need to go with my staff tomorrow, after tomorrow, to Palmyra to do the damage assessment. How many percent of the destruction on the stones in this site for the two temples? Through this assessment, we will prepare our vision to rebuild the two temples, Bel and Ba'al Shamin. Of course, we will share all the information with UNESCO, because Palmyra, it's not just for the Syrian people, it's for the humanity. We will share all the scientific vision with UNESCO, with our colleague in the international community.
The former US ambassador to Russia has given his reaction to the liberation of Palmyra overnight in Russian. Michael McFaul responded to a tweet by the Russian embassy in the US, writing "Spasiba," meaning thank you in Russian. Let's get some more thoughts. Masoud Shajareh is chair of the Islamic Human Rights Commission. He's joining us now live on the line. Sir, your thoughts, thanks for being with us Sunday. Your thoughts on this Syrian Army victory in Palmyra overnight?
Well, it's a fantastic victory. It really sort of shows that the effectiveness of the coalition, who is now coming together to fight the ISIS. And I think we shouldn't just think about the saving the activity, which is very important, but the fact that lives of ordinary people in the region have been saved. While this so-called Islamic State committing atrocities, chopping people's heads off, and misery to hundreds and thousands of people in the region. Now we could say that there is an end to one chapter of that. There is a lot more needs to be done, but now we could see very clearly the effective way of this coalition.
So you're speaking of the coalition there. I just want to pin that down a bit. Who are you talking about when you say the coalition? Who has been most effective here in helping the Syrian army get to where it is to beat back ISIL like this, as you see it?
Well, for a long time, the West were incompetent of doing anything, and they claimed that they were bombing using sort of sophisticated weapons, which no effect. But since the Russians and the Syrians and indeed the Hezbollah and others in the region dealing with this issue, we see success after success. And I think it shows to the international community that there has to be a coalition, a local coalition, an effective coalition, which has been extremely successful. And we hope that sooner or later we will see the end of so-called Islamic State in the region altogether.
What next for the Syrian army? It's difficult to gauge, I guess, but I suppose they will continue to try and push east, yeah?
Yes, absolutely. And I think now there should be no doubt in anyone's mind internationally that this is the most effective way of actually dealing with the terrorists. And we need to clear Syria of all terrorism before we could see the empowerment back to the people of Syria to choose their future. And I think that concentrating on getting rid of the terrorists, it really is the priority for international community and indeed for the ordinary Syrians. They are the ones who are getting the most affected by the atrocities committed by these terrorist groups.
This battle has been hard fought over the last couple of days, particularly over the last 24 hours for the Syrian army. And we've been covering what's been happening extensively over the build-up to it, and particularly over the last 3 days. Interesting to see the US State Department looking pretty uncertain whether or not they thought this would be a good thing that ISIS was felled in Palmyra just a couple of days ago. We've yet to hear the latest official comment, because of course it's night there in America. But this is what was said just a day or two ago at the prospect of ISIS being beaten back here. Let's listen.
we, of course, our priority, and I said this yesterday, is defeating and destroying Daesh. That remains our priority. And yet, we also recognize that replacing Daesh's barbaric rule with Assad's tyranny is not a great trade-off or a great solution.
He couldn't be more muted if he tried, really, could he?
No, I think it's really there's a lot of politicking taking place by U.S. and its allies, and really that has been one of the main problems in Syria. We really need to get rid of Daesh or ISIS before anything could happen. There's no way that Syria could begin to put their lives together while Daesh is going chopping heads around and actually ruling with committing all these atrocities right across Syria. And that is, even a child will understand that. And I fail to see why United States and its allies not only been incompetent in dealing with ISIS till now, but also don't recognize that that is really the priority for the Syrians, and that should be the priority for international community.
Well, maybe I'd say it's coming into morning there now in America. Maybe we will have some official comment later, a little more positive. Just a final thought. As you're seeing it today, is there a danger of some complacency here, or is the tide really turning in Syria's fight against ISIL?
The tide is turning, and it has been turning in recent months by this coalition of Russians, Syrians, and indeed the local sort of militias and so forth. But I think we need to recognize that this needs to be supported. If we are going to get rid of Daesh both from Syria and Iraq, there needs to be concentration on that and less of the politicking that we are seeing from United States and its allies. I think the problem is this, that U.S. on one side, that we heard, sort of puts a priority on Daesh, but then it comes with a but and if, and sort of that has been part of the problem. And I think people of Syria, people of Iraq, need to be supported to get rid of all sorts of terrorism, especially from Daesh.
Masoud Shajare, Chair of the Islamic Human Rights Commission, thank you for sparing some time to be with us this weekend.